I am not putting on makeup and doing my hair every single day. That is not going to happen.
Not happening.
When you work for yourself, one of the gifts is that you can work in yoga pants a lot, right? So I don't have to be on all the time.
Welcome to Modern Entrepreneur. Today we have Tiffany Peterson, who is a seasoned speaker and international coach guiding individuals, teams, and audiences in creating thriving lives and business results. Before founding her own company, The Lighthouse Principles, Tiffany worked with and for many popular brands, including Franklin Covey, who wrote 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, of course, Rich Dad, Poor Dad series, who you'll know, Jack Canfield, who created Chicken Soup for the Soul. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So you speak, and is that what you mostly do, or what do you do like day to day?
So I do a combination. I mean, day to day, I'm a content creator.
Oh, content
right?
creator.
In terms of sharing as a speaker and as a coach, I'm regularly sharing on social, my email list of stories and inspiration and sales strategies, as I'm branded in sales heavily.
Got it.
However, 90% of being great in sales or being great in anything is your mindset and your confidence and the thought processes and your inspiration that's part of your success. So I'm regularly producing content daily. And then several times a month, I'm speaking in various cities on different platforms to small groups to large conferences around, again, sales or mindset or positivity.
Right. So these people, like yourselves apparently, that produce content every day, it seems kind of incredible.
Yeah.
That you, have something that people want to hear about every single day that's interesting, and that you then go ahead and produce it and publish it. So like, where does that come from?
Well, number one, I'm not producing or creating it every day. That's a really important thing to know, is that I often will create, like I'll get together and create several pieces of video at once, right?
Got it.
And then filter that out. But in terms of content every day is just more so the aspect of whether it's sharing a positive, simple quote to a more extensive piece of content. But often I will create it in what I'd call a productivity zone or a productivity block in my schedule, and then just crank out content one after the other. So that way I don't have to do that every single day, right? Especially if it's video. I am not putting on makeup and doing my hair every single day. That is not going to happen.
Not happening.
When you work for yourself, one of the gifts is that you can work in yoga pants a lot, right? So I don't have to be on all the time.
Okay, good. So what do you feel like your unique skill set is?
I would say my unique skill set is that I can connect with any human in any space or environment. And that connection comes really from 2 core intentions, right? I really think to be great in sales really just means you're great at relationship. And those 2 things is, first is that you show up with this intention to serve, and you show up with that energy of being a connector, right? I like to share in my sales training, there's this thought process that connection equals clients equals cash, is that you're all in the people business no matter what you sell, right? So we know that, that's not new information. Secondly, though, is how to ask better questions. Is that what you're asking, not what you're telling, is your influence to your success. Now that's true in your personal life, that's true in your business life, is your ability to be more influential is heavily rooted in your ability to do relationship. And then those 2 things is having the intention matched with the ability or the skill to create that connection. But I'm a connector, I love people, they fascinate me, I'm naturally curious.
Yeah.
But those are 2 things in terms of when I'm teaching someone else of how do I grow my business or how do I grow my influence, is you up your people skills.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you are growing a business.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that?
I'm 7 years as
7
of
years
January, so I'm a little over my 7-year mark.
Great. Congratulations.
Thanks.
What's working today to grow that business?
Well, a lot of my business is the face-to-face or the human-to-human connection, right? I might be a little bit old school where in addition to email marketing, which I'm a big fan of, and online marketing, is I still make a concerted effort every single week. I am meeting with at least one person in my network in face-to-face, going to coffee, going to lunch. I send off handwritten notes and little packages and things, the personal touch regularly. And that, sincerely, I know it might sound like such a simple thing, because when we often think marketing, we think marketing.
Yeah.
But the more that you have depth and connection,
Yeah.
those connections create lots of opportunity and lots of business. Like how I know you, and I'm sitting here with you, is a connection in my network that a member of your team reached out to and said, hey, could you create a connection for us?
Right.
I mean, we're all connected, right? So I'm regularly putting energy into what's working for me is in the space of connecting still. The human touch is so important in all of our lives, and we're hungry for it, I think.
Yeah, totally. And also it's completely not scalable. So how do you decide, well, like, I mean, I hate to have this sound like transactional, but if you're going to use like live conversations to grow your business, like how do you decide where to like invest that energy? You know, our email list is very large,
Right.
and I couldn't like have those conversations with that many people, right? So how do you like focus?
Well, I think that's a really good question, and it's important to be doing both, right? Is that my email list regularly gets good content, nourishment, and occasional marketing there. So I'm nourishing the masses in terms of my business, but I'm still doing the personal touch with what I'd call my VIP clientele or VIP, your influencers list, right? Like I ask my coaching clients every quarter to make a list of 10 people that they want to nourish a conscious relationship with that may be an influencer, right? They may be the president of another company, they may be running a massive nonprofit, they might have a large Twitter following, but that's someone that they're also intentionally connecting with. They also have to like the person too. It's not just, the thought process of that, but the dynamic is that they are nourishing their influencers.
Got it. So then just getting really intentional about like reaching out and connecting and creating relationships.
Right. When people see, the thing about humans is they all have the same basic needs. They have the need to feel seen. They have the need to feel heard, valued, trusted, respected, significant. And when you're meeting those needs, whether it's personal or business, then relationships thrive. And so what really matters is that your people feel that, right? And granted, I can't do that similar with my email list, that I'm not personally calling each person, but that I'm regularly showing up wholehearted, as I would call that, right? Or authentic, not to sound too woo-woo, but sincerely as just being that real space. And so when you know that, that's like, hey, what your significant other needs, what your team needs, what your prospects needs, really important in business is to make sure you're nourishing your existing or previous clients. Because often when we think of sales, we always are thinking new, right? And new business, new clients, new.
Yeah.
But if you take excellent care of your existing clients, a few things happen. One, they stay put. Number two, they become your own marketing department. And they become raving fans. I don't know if you know Kevin Kelly's work, the 1,000 True Fans article. Look it up if you haven't read it. It's fantastic. But I love in his work is talking about the issue or the concept is if you had 1,000 true fans basically pay you $1 a day, right? Kind of thing, how that adds up over time is how well are you taking care of your existing clients? That's one of the biggest gold mines that's most overlooked in relationship. So it isn't always, I hear you, timing wise, I don't have the capacity to be nourishing relationships all day, every day. But I have at least 2 hours a week.
2 hours a week.
And I'll block it. And then if it's grabbing lunch one day and then another of that hour is setting up other things or handwritten notes, I often travel with a stack of blank note cards. And then that way, if I'm on the airplane or different thing, it's just, again, the personal touch. It isn't so much about quantity. It's about, I like both, right? Quality and quantity. But if my quality's rich and awesome, then I have all these people out there. Like I haven't had to recruit for private coaching clients for 4 years. Because my clients are already doing that for me. Because they're so thrilled. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
So tell me what's like next for you? What is the cutting edge for your business, and what are you learning and excited about right now?
So what I'm learning about and excited about, what I'm up-leveling in my own situation or my own stuff is definitely in my own systems, right? To create more consistency, right? Of how things are being delivered and how things are happening in a regular space. And so I'm up-leveling that. And then I'm also doing a lot of things on the personal side of my life that is exciting for me. So I'm spending more time in things of, personal hobbies and things like that too.
Like what?
Well, I've been getting more into yoga, so I've been enjoying that. And I started a garden last year at home, so we get to tinker with that. I mean, just little things, but they create more grounding in my life.
Great. So if you could go back, to, well, let's say just 7 years ago when you started this business, and give yourself a piece of advice, what advice would you give yourself?
Just one?
Yeah, I mean, like, there's got to be. I mean,
I love this question, but it's
yeah.
hard for me to pick. It's like me
know.
saying, "Let me pick my
I'd be
favorite
like,
shoes."
could you just do it all differently?
Right. I would say number one, I probably can't just pick one, but if I was to say the first I would lead out with for sure is just the concept of have faith, right? And trust the process, and just to lean more into that joy and that faith and that trust is that there are certain principles that when applied in life for any one of us, they will create certain results. I like to teach in my work this phrase that the harvest cannot be prevented. You can't always control when or how fast the harvest will come, but when you plant and nourish those efforts, it is only a matter of time before you will meet with success. So have a little faith, right? Have a little fun. I also would coach myself heavily to create an email list a lot faster. It's like the first 2 or 3 years, I'm embarrassed to admit this, I was speaking a lot with not even like gathering business cards.
Yeah.
So all this exposure, but then no real follow-up
In the front of the
system.
room and just letting people.
Yes, and I know now, more so as a sales trainer, that on average, people need 4 interactions before they purchase from you. 60% of the time, sales take place after a 4th interaction. And so they would get one maybe experience, but they need the follow-up. So implementing systems a lot sooner, I would have coached myself to do for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say the first thing you said, which was to have faith.
Right.
You're kind of I think maybe the second person who's said the first thing out of their mouth was some like kindness to themselves about like, don't worry, it's gonna work out, or you know, the ride is gonna be fun. And I think that, you know, we didn't really talk about it last time, but now that I've heard that again, it makes me, you know, kind of like remember that we give ourselves a hard time, and like, you know, looking back, you know, we stress about it and we struggle and we, you know, worry like crazy, and then at the end we're like, man, why did I not enjoy that that process that I just went through? Because it was it was hard, but at the end of the day, it's turned out all right. How do you think you could? I mean, the thing is that, I mean, I guess A, it might not have worked out, although you think it's inevitable. And B, it's impossible to know that in advance. So how do you actually, like, do you think you would have listened to yourself?
Yeah, I think I truly, from all sincerity, I believe what I'm about to say with my whole heart is that every person on this planet has, whether you call it a soul or spirit or intuition, is you have an inner voice. It's an inner guidance system. Like we have a GPS system, we have the same thing intuitively. It's a matter if we create space to hear it. And so whether that's through prayer or meditation, I regularly teach in all kinds of places, my YouTube channel, so forth, is I teach a lot about what I call self-care equals success and different habits to plug into that. But if you'll create the space, you can hear what your soul, spirit, source, intuition is speaking to you. And so regularly, I would have this intuitive hit about every time when I would pay my monthly mortgage as a new entrepreneur, because I'd never done any side business. I would have been corporate. Originally, I was going to be a special needs teacher. And I worked for 2 years in 3 classrooms in Salt Lake City, with kids with autism and Down syndrome. And then I went to work for Franklin Covey, and it put my life on a totally different trajectory. And I did so well selling, I became a sales trainer, and then I went out on my own. So I'd never tinkered with even like a network marketing business on the side, and I never thought I was going to be a business owner. My thought was I'd be a school teacher, get married, have 3 kids, and be a stay-at-home mom, and my life looks nothing like that. And so, but that inner voice is always there. You have it, I have it, and everyone watching or listening has it. It's just creating space for it. So I would have it come up for me regularly. It would say to me that first year in business, it would say, stay the course, things are working out. Stay the course, things are working out. Now, spirituality is a big part of my life. And so, but I honor however people connect to, whether they say God, Jesus, Buddha, spirit, love, universe. We all have that inner voice. It's just if you're creating space to hear it. And so I would hear it. It's just more so my advice to myself, like you're saying, is be kinder, but to trust it. Is mine was leading me, and each person's entitled to their own guidance system of what they're needing for the day. What would help me is to be anchored in the day that I was in, rather than, is this going to work 5 years from now?
Yeah, just focus.
Or 5 months is, what do I need to know for today? And what's my highest revenue producing activity or return on investment activity I can be doing today?
Yeah.
To really create progression.
Good.
Yeah.
So moving forward
Yeah.
and looking back from there, what do you imagine you'd like your legacy to be?
Oh, wow. Well, number one, I believe that I'm leaving a legacy every single day. Because we often think, when does legacy kick in? At like 73.7 years of age, this space. But I think all of us, ultimately, our legacy is found in some form of service. And so whether you're, selling beauty products, you're in coaching, you sell real estate, is the capacity of how you treat other human beings, right? And how you show up in a space of service. Is my intention, and I don't always think this thought or live this way, so let me be so clear, I'm not a saint, but I'm committed to the path that my life will be used, my platforms will be used, my voice will be used for good. And so coming into a space of regularly, whether it's the simplest thing of kind words, to buying someone's lunch, to helping someone when you can help them as a human, that's the daily ongoing legacy that I hope my life is that, she helped a lot of people. From the simple to the larger things. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
So what do you think it means to be a modern entrepreneur? I mean, how have things changed, do you think, in the last decade or so?
Well, I think what it means is that a couple of thoughts. One is certain principles haven't changed, right? Like the principles of service and value, and this principles around, 1,000 or 100 years ago, you were still in the people business and you were building relationships and communities of trust. What is different today is how much technology allows us the opportunity, like what your group does, to connect with a lot of people and to stay in conversation, to stay in community with, and so forth. And so the question is where we're going. Is I think that more than ever, because we're also, on one hand, technology has connected us in such a massive way. But there's also the pendulum on that is feeling disconnected.
Totally.
So what really matters is, are we creating communities of connection, online and in person? There's many ways to do that. It's just that I think to stand out in business and to have sustainable business is, you might be the bright, shiny thing today, but will you be around a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? To be around and to be still relevant is still going to be heavily anchored in how you show up in your relationships and how people feel. How people feel in your presence is ultimately your business card, right? Kind of thought process. And so I think the modern entrepreneur, where they're going, is that creating community, but creating sustainable community through really, truly valuing them as people and their needs versus just a transaction.
Good. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
For being here. That
was
great.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Would you sign our wall?
I would love to sign your wall.
All right.
You think that, right? You do. It's like, if you build it, they will come. No.
It's not that way.
No, they won't. They really won't. If you build it and then promote the hell out of it and then ask your friend to promote the hell out of it and then tweet about it and post about it, then maybe they'll think about coming.